All right, we've got some major breaking news coming from the front lines of the AI war. In what looks like a stunning rapid-fire assault, OpenAI has just laid out its new battle plan. And what we're looking at here isn't just another product update. This is a declaration of intent. So you've got to understand the timing here. We're talking about a single week in January 2026. In that short span, OpenAI unleashed a flurry of news. They revealed jaw-dropping revenue numbers, launched a new low-cost plan, and announced they're getting into the advertising game. And this begs the question, right? Is this just a coincidence? A few unrelated company updates that happen to land in the same week? Or are we witnessing a masterfully coordinated, multi-pronged strike designed to box out competitors and utterly dominate this market? Okay, let's break this down, because when you connect the dots, a very clear three-part strategy starts to take shape. First, you flex your financial muscle by announcing insane revenue. Second, you launch a low-cost plan to scoop up as much of the market as you possibly can. And third, you build an ad engine to monetize that gigantic user base. So let's start with pillar one, the revenue flywheel. This first move was all about establishing overwhelming financial dominance and sending a very loud message to investors and to their rivals. And this was the first shot fired. This number came straight from their CFO, Sarah Friar, a staggering $20 billion plus in annualized revenue for 2025. For anyone out there thinking OpenAI was just a research lab struggling to make ends meet, this number was a direct hit. But it's not just the sheer size of the number, it's the speed. This represents a 3x year-over-year revenue growth. You know, in the world of big tech, that kind of hypergrowth at this scale is a signal of absolute market capture. It's just unheard of. And here's the engine that's driving all of that growth. OpenAI was very explicit about this. Their revenue directly tracks their available compute power, which saw a mind-boggling 9.5x expansion in just 2 years. And this chart, this tells the entire story right now. You can see it clear as day. The revenue line isn't just correlated with compute, it's practically a mirror image. The only thing holding back their growth is the number of GPUs they can physically get their hands on. They are compute constrained, not demand constrained. Now, let's move to the second pillar, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's call it the land grab. With that revenue machine printing money, OpenAI's next move is an aggressive play to capture the mass market with a new product called ChatGPT Go. So what is ChatGPT Go? It's their new low-cost subscription, just $8 a month in the US. It runs on their latest, faster model, GPT 5.2 Instant, and gives you 10 times the messaging capacity of the free tier, plus more file uploads, image creation, and a longer memory. It's a really compelling offer. But here is the strategic genius behind it. At just $8, they are almost certainly losing money on their most active users. So why would they do it? It's a classic business strategy. It's called a loss leader. You intentionally take a loss on one product just to get a customer into your ecosystem. And that loss leader serves one critical long-term goal: user lock-in. The more a person uses ChatGPT, the more they personalize it with their data, their chats, the more indispensable it becomes. It basically becomes their AI, and it gets harder and harder to ever switch to a competitor. And that brings us to the third and final pillar of this whole strategy, the ad engine. This is all about building an entirely new way to make money on top of that massive user base they're capturing with the free and the Go tiers. Now, this is a question that had a lot of us scratching our heads. If you're already pulling in over $20 billion from subscriptions, why on earth would you risk alienating your entire user base with advertising? Well, to understand the why, you have to look at their revenue mix. As you can see here, it's really heavily reliant on subscriptions. And while that's impressive, it also creates a strategic vulnerability. Ads introduce a powerful, diversified revenue stream that protects them and lets them supercharge their growth even more. And just how big is this opportunity? A quick comparison to an ad giant like Meta reveals the scale here. Meta made about $58 per user from ads in 2025. If OpenAI, who you could argue is even closer to a user's intent to buy something, can achieve anything close to that, we are talking about tens of billions in new, high-margin revenue every year. That's the price. Of course, they know this is a very delicate move, so they've proactively laid out these principles to try and maintain user trust.
They're promising ads when influence answers, your conversations will remain private, and this is key, their paid tiers will always be ad-free. That creates a very clear incentive to upgrade. So let's put it all together. You have a massive revenue machine funding a market share land grab, which in turn feeds a powerful new ad engine. So how does this coordinated strategy position OpenAI against its main rivals?
First, let's look at their primary startup rival, Anthropic. This comparison really highlights the fundamental difference in how they see the world. OpenAI is going consumer first, building this massive user ecosystem to create that lock-in. Anthropic is API first. They're betting on creating the best possible model for developers to build on top of. These are two very different bets on how the market is going to shake out. But the real titan in the room, of course, is Google. And Google has some formidable, almost unfair advantages. They have so much diversified revenue, they can fund their AI efforts for years. They have billions of users already in their ecosystem. They control their own chip design, and they have this massive distribution power to just bundle their AI, Gemini, into their other products for free. And that brings us to the final, critical question that's really going to define the next chapter of this war. We have seen OpenAI's calculated and incredibly aggressive attack to generate revenue, capture users, and build a powerful moat. But is that moat deep enough and wide enough to hold off a giant like Google?
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe Unpacking Intelligence.